Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll for Monday, March 14th, 2022. As we get closer to dancing tomorrow and Wednesday, and then the real big dance starts on Thursday. But today we are blessed, honored, gifted to have Bernie Fratto at Fox Sports Radio on with us. He was on a couple times during the lockout, spot on with his information, unlike social media and all the fabrication. He was in the fires in '94, and he kind of walked us through what was happening. And presto, he sent me a text, I want to say 10 minutes before you guys knew what was going on, from Mr. Passon and everyone else with the play ball. And it was great to see. And we're honored to have him here. So without further ado, let's bring him on, Mr. Bernie Fratto.
Yeah, good to be with you, Jeff. Much better circumstances now, and teams are in spring training. And what's interesting is ever since this got settled last Wednesday, Thursday, I've still gotten a lot of questions in the last 5 days. What happened? They went from canceling more games to all of a sudden hours later, there's a flicker of hope. And then 24 hours later, we've got a deal. People are unclear about the rule changes, which will take effect this year, which won't take effect till next year. People are unclear about the terms of the deal. And people also, a lot of folks don't understand why these rule changes that they're talking about for 2023 were done. So I'm here to clean all that up and then finally move forward and, talk about other relevant things going on, actual baseball itself and March Madness.
It's been a crazy, even last 12 hours. I think once baseball was back, we were expecting that NBA free agent frenzy with that wink, wink. There was already all these deals, waiting for all the chips to fall because there's 150 people without jobs. And last night, we really started to see some moves and stuff. But let's back it up. As you said, you sent me that text on Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday.
Yes, it was.
Take us back. I think we had you on the Friday before, and it wasn't looking pretty. Take us through those 4 days. It seemed like, per the media and social media, both sides were moving, and they were giving. And then there was a stop. But take us through those 4 or 5 days, and especially the last 2 days. What was really the sticking point, and what really made this happen, Bernie?
The ultimate sticking point was that the owners wanted an international draft, and I'll explain what that means in a minute and why they wanted that. But in the interim, the players' mission, which was to take care of the 0 to 3 guys before they've hit arbitration or free agency, was working. They'd made substantial gains. If you fast forward to the final deal, the players ended up getting $50 million in the pool for the pre-arb bonus. They started out wanting 110. The owner started off by offering 10. So they closed that gap. They didn't quite maybe get what they want, but it's found money. That's a huge win. And over the 5-year life of the CBA, that's $250 million in found money. And each year that $50 million can be spread among as many as 100 players. There are additional bonuses if you're finished first, second, or third, an MVP, Cy Young, or Rookie of the Year, or you're one of the top 20% performers. Big win. In the CBT, the luxury tax, they made gains last year. The threshold was $210 million per team. It starts in 2022 at $230 million a team and grows to $244. So that $20 million year-over-year increase is the largest in history. I think it's another big win for the players. And then, of course, the minimum salary. Last year, the minimum salary was $575. Now this year it starts at $710, and it'll graduate to $780 over the course of the deal. And so those are 3 pretty big, nice gains by the players. The players also held firm. They got their 12-team playoff. They didn't want a 14-team playoff, so they won that one as well. Now, to be fair, the owners, at least they got some expansion. They expanded to 12 teams instead of 14, but that's more than before. So they won as well. But here's the sticking point to your question. Let's get to the the elephant in the room, and that was the international draft. The owners were hell bent on getting an international draft. Now, why? Well, if you look at the Rule 4 draft in Major League Baseball right now, you're eligible if you're a high school graduate or you have completed your junior year in college or turned 21. It's structured United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico. Now, in the international waters, obviously, there's been a lot of talent produced in other countries from Japan. The most is the Dominican Republic. That's a haven for baseball talent. And if you just look at the top 10 ranking players last year in terms of WAR, 6 were from the Dominican Republic. So it's a haven. Well, right now, when it comes to signing players in the Dominican Republic, it's this Wild West scenario run by rogue operators. And you've got guys that'll say, hey, I've got this 14-year-old kid. If you want him, he'll be ready in a couple years. You're going to have to go through me. It's going to cost $5 million. It's really, there's no rhyme or reason. They sign players at any age from anywhere at any time, and it's corrupt. What Major League Baseball wants to do is uniform that and allow teams to draft in an orderly fashion in blocks of 8 and create a scenario where there's age limits and there's signing bonus limits. Not that the overall pool for all potential players wouldn't still be big, if not bigger, but just to reel it in so there's more structure. Well, what happened was Tuesday night when the player reps went back to their rank and file and said, here's where we're at, and they gave them the thresholds. To me, we're all winners on the CBT, the pre-arb, and the minimum salary. They were told that the holdup was the international draft, and the rank and file, there was a groundswell. And they said, wait a minute now. We understand we might miss paychecks over the core economic issues. We're on board with that. We don't want to miss paychecks based on a secondary issue. While it is an important issue and it needs to be addressed, we get that, and the owners want it. Don't hold up the game because of that now. So phone calls were lobbed back and forth from each side, and the lead negotiator started to talk and say, why don't we figure out a way to do this? Let's figure out a way to set aside this debate over the international draft, and let's proceed with because we're so close everywhere else. And that's what they did. They agreed to, on July 24th, by July 24th of this year, figure out some manner or means how they can construct an international draft that's doable for both sides that wouldn't even take place till 2024. And if it can't get done by July 24th, then the qualifying offer remains and the game goes on. But both sides now, I think, are relieved. I think the fans are relieved, and now the talk has turned to free agents like Freddie Freeman and teams in spring training. And later this week, you'll see spring training games, and about half the team. I think there's 8 games on April 7th, and the rest of the major leagues will open up on April 8th, and a lot more interleague play this year. And we've got the universal DH this year, and people have squelched about that. I know my buddy Rob Parker hates it. Well, the truth of the matter is that the National League was the last holdout of every league playing in the world, literally, right? From high school to college to semi-pro leagues to the Cape Cod League to certainly all the minor leagues, the American League, Japan, Korea. Finally, the National League says, okay, we'll do it. And what really drove it was money. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Last year, Jacob deGrom tweaked his oblique swinging a bat. And while he didn't hurt himself on that particular play, it created a weakness in that large muscle group, and it led to an injury, led to missing starts. Owners have said, look, we all right, we get it. We don't want our guy making 30 large a year that we need to march out there over 58 batting around in the bases anymore. There's just too much money involved. And fans want offense. Everything is pointing to offense, right? No more man on second base in the extra innings. I'm glad about that. No more 7-inning doubleheaders, only 9-inning doubleheaders. And then it was funny because I went on several shows and people didn't know. We're not going to do the large base thing until 2023. And it's still not official. But if they decide upon it, they got 45 days notice to implement it. And people have asked, well, what's the big deal about large bases? Well, they're going to be 3 inches larger. And it was experimented with in the minor leagues last 2 years. And they averaged 1 more stolen base per game, believe it or not. And there was a safety issue. I mean, you see, how many times have you seen a bang play at first base where the first baseman is stretching and the runner's coming across, and you want someone to get their foot stepped on? There's a safety issue there. And how many times have you seen a guy steal a base and his momentum in the second base on a head first slide is so aggressive. It carries right past the bag, and he slides right past the bag, and he's tagged out. Right. This is going to help prevent that as well. The second thing we'll probably see, I think, in 2023 is a pitch clock. Again, they experimented with this in the minor leagues. 14 seconds with no one on base, 19 seconds with a man on base. And believe it or not, the batting average cumulatively was 20 points higher. Games finished 20 minutes sooner, and there was more offense. So I think that's an idea whose time is coming. And then they are going to ban the shift. It looks like they will ban the shift, and what the new rule will be, you're going to have two infielders on each side of second base, and they're both going to have to be in the dirt. Their feet are going to have to be in the dirt when the ball is pitched. And interestingly enough, they did that in the minor leagues as well. That didn't have any effect on offense, but that's not to say they won't in the major leagues. So in a nutshell, there you kind of have it. And I think that I won't say cooler heads prevail, but they reached sort of a detente, and both sides realized, and we talked about this last week, Jeff, had actual games been canceled, every game that would have been canceled would have cost the players union $21 million every day in cumulative salary. And within a couple of weeks, the owners would have had to start tendering rebates back to the regional TV partners. So once it got close like that, I think people realized we're really not that far off. If we can figure out what the roadblock is, then we can get this done, and ended up getting done.
So I'm going to go backwards. So to the shift next year, is it? I was saying I kind of wanted the shift banned myself. I'm a purist in regards to I love the first to third. I love the hit and runs.
Right.
I love that part of the game. I was even saying, hey, you don't have to ban it fully, just they can't cross the bags. Is there going to be anything like that, Bernie, where the shortstop can get as far as even with second base, or is there going to be any technicalities like that?
Yeah. Again, the shortstop and third baseman will have to be their side of second base, and the first baseman and the second baseman their side of second base, and their feet have to be in the dirt when the ball is pitched. Now, not that you can't cheat on two, or obviously a shortstop might play a guy closer up the middle when the lefty's at bat, but you're not going to see this whole thing started back when Ted Williams was playing. It was the Lou Boudreau shift, right? And even Ted Williams, God love him, was so stubborn. He'd either hit the ball out of the yard or he'd hit the ball in the nose and there'd be an out. I've never understood. For me, it's kind of a novel thing. After a while, it gets old. But if you want to compromise your defense, hey, let's find a way to beat you. But players are so stubborn, and they really didn't. So I think everything, with respect to baseball on a go-forward basis is designed to create more offense. And so a guy like a Bryce Harper, they have a bad shift for him, and he's one of the stubborn guys, right? You got to believe he's going to get a lot of gappers, and he's got to, he pulls the ball, and without that shift, you've seen guys playing second base 25, 30 feet on the outfield grass, and the guy hit a shot on the ground, and he picks it and throws the guy out at first, which would have been a hit, right? And that's maddening if you're a fan of the offensive team there. So I think it's going to be a full ban, and again, as long as you are on either side of second base and your feet in the dirt, you're not breaking the rules.
I go back to like even Ortiz and some of these other guys, and it's like watching a Friday night softball league.
Right.
Short fielder. That's where he is.
Right. Yeah. Next thing they're going to add a rover, right?
All right. I'm going to throw out three names. The Yankees made some moves late last night. Kind of surprising, taking a shot with 36-year-old Donaldson. They finally moved Sanchez. They think they got an upgraded catcher. I've said all along, Correa to the Yankees. Now that doesn't sound like it's going to happen. So I'm going to give you three names here. Correa, Freeman, and then I wanted to ask you about someone else. But any thoughts, gut feelings where Freeman ends up?
Yeah, and it's interesting. Freddie Freeman went to the same high school I went to, Medina High School in Orange, California. Yeah, I'm a little older than him, but I remember seeing him play in high school. I've always believed that he's going to end, when all is said and done, he's going to end up in Atlanta. Atlanta last year won the World Series. They were second in attendance. They were the most profitable team in baseball. I think after all the bills were paid, they made like $100 million. And they did it without Ronald Acuna. So it would seem to me that if they keep this team intact, they're potentially scary good. Now, Freddie Freeman is a big fit for the Dodgers because Mac Muncy is not always 100%, and now with the universal DH in the National League, that makes Freeman even more attractive because he can DH or play first. Same with Muncy. So I know the Dodgers have. I don't have any details on an offer. None of it's been released, but I've heard they have offered him a boatload of money, but he hasn't signed yet. And I've always thought that the longer this goes on, he's giving Atlanta a chance to match it, or Atlanta's going to match it. And the longer this goes on, I've always believed that the chances are better for Atlanta. I always believed that the Yankees, who could very much use left-handed power and at first base in that stadium, would be a bigger player for Freddie Freeman as well, or at least dip their toe in the water. And I don't know to what degree they had done that yet. So my guess, and it's only a guess, is that Freddie Freeman, at the end of the day, stays with Atlanta. Korea, not sure. I really thought the Yankees. I will say this: if Freeman, it's what you call the dominoes falling. Obviously, if Freeman stays in Atlanta, I expect the Dodgers to offer a boatload of money to Korea, and he'll be their backup. Yeah, I do. And same with the Yankees, but the Yankees haven't been as active as I thought they were. Now, Josh Donaldson's a good pickup. He's a great clubhouse guy. They didn't have to pay a hell of a lot for him. And here's a guy who's been in the postseason a lot. He was with some pretty darn good teams that weren't quite enough to win it all, but good enough to be in the postseason. And he knows what that looks like. And I think that always helps the clubhouse in much the same way I think Javi Baez helps the Detroit Tigers. So I think we won't see where Korea goes until we know where Freeman goes first.
And going to the Yankees, I kind of thought that the Yankees would be big push for Freeman, real big push for Correa. But in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, well, I think they could, if they wanted to, they could either settle for Rizzo, who played there the second half of the year. And here's a name for you that I want the Red Sox to re-sign. I've heard a lot that the Sox got a good shot at the Japanese kid Suzuki. I want them to re-sign Schwarber. But why not? I know his defense isn't good, or he's not a glorified first baseman. Schwarber in Yankee Stadium, I think he'd be a hero.
His stock dropped a lot after the Cubs won it in 2016, and then he's been injured. He lost the weight. I'm not quite sure if the league figured him out. He's not quite the dangerous hitter in the lineup that he was, but he can help somebody. He can help somebody, and he can certainly help the Yankees. And again, because he's a DH, guys like like him and the name slipped me. There's 3 or 4 guys that are really going to benefit from this DH thing, and I think Schwarber's one of them, and it won't take a lot of money to get him. The Yankees have really underachieved the last couple of years, and I'm really not sure how much money Steinbrenner wants to continue to spend. But and Boston's going to be right there as well. So I think what happens first is you have to see where some of these top dominoes fall, then the secondary ones start to fall behind them.
And in the American League East, I thought everyone was sleeping at the wheel, and they allowed Toronto to get Kikuchi for $12 million per. And now you look at their starting staff, and I mean, they got Berrios, they got Manoah, they bring over Gosman. They're loaded for top to five. They got Ryu, so their front five is strong and long, I call it. And then their offense, we know, is right there with anyone. So the East between the Rays, the Jays, the Yankees, and the Sox is just, it's going to be a war, Bernie. We have currently lost Bernie here. Let's see if we can get him back here. Come on, Bernie. Yes, Bernie. No, we did. I'm looking at the blank screen now. I'm actually live on still. I just took you off. That's all. It's okay. Um, I don't know if the audio is actually picking you up on the other side here. That would be the big question. Okay, let me see something here. Let me see something. Are you still there? Okay, so hold on one second. I'm going to see if I can be multi-talented here, which I'm not. Um, yes, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Okay. No, no, let's do that. Let's no, all is good. We will we will have lunch next Monday. Obviously, we'll keep in touch. I land I'm staying at the Grand View. Mhm. It's done. Safe travels. Let's keep in touch. Thank you so much. It's okay. Safe travels, Bernie. Bye-bye. All right, I'm back live. Apologies, we lost Bernie. It's been one of those Mondays. I just want to be honest with everyone. Anything that can go wrong is going wrong, and as Bernie just said, Murphy's Law. Great to catch up with him. I'm just going to throw some stuff out there. Obviously, the brackets are out. I'm going to get more into it today at 4:30 with Scott, and then we're going to jump back into it tomorrow at 10 a.m. with the Breakfast Bankroll. Uh, on your brackets, a couple things that I did realize going into this weekend, Kentucky was one of those quiet names, and they laid an egg against Tennessee. Let me just backtrack about that game. I personally think that Tennessee and Kentucky are mirror images of each other. It was the third game they've seen each other. Okay. So now everyone is throwing dirt on Kentucky, and Arizona is the slice bread of the week. The cherry, whatever you want to call Arizona. I love Arizona. We have them at 18-1, okay, to win it all. Can they win it all? 100% without a doubt. Okay. But before we order the duck boats and the parades, okay, let's not throw dirt on Kentucky. Okay. These guys are long, they're athletic, they just couldn't throw it in the ocean. Okay. So when you're breaking down your brackets, the Zags, okay, as much as they're the number one seed, okay, I'll tell you this, if and they will get to the Sweet 16. They're going to most likely have a matchup with UConn or Arkansas. Now, I think they'll probably be 8, 9 point favorites against either one of them. And unfortunately, against UConn, I think UConn offensively can't keep up with them. So their defense would have to be spot on. Arkansas can run with anyone. Okay. So it's not a cakewalk that the Zags make it all the way through to the Final Four. There's a team on the bottom who hasn't been playing well called Duke, who's already beat the Zags. Okay, so before we put the Zags in the Final Four, just pump the brakes a little there. Baylor got the number one because I think honestly that the selection committee was lazy. Uh, Honestly, they gave Tennessee a 3, which easily should have been a 2, and if not a 1. But if Kentucky would have won the SEC, I think they would have given Kentucky a number 1 there. Okay, so we're gonna break down the brackets. Everyone likes to have a chalk sandwich with the ones. Good luck. I mean, this is the year where I think there's about 12 teams that could cut down the nets. We're gonna break down our futures that we've been collecting all year. We're going to have a day. We're going to have some fun with this. There's no clear cut. I got, I say the banana in the tailpipe. The Zags did it to us last year, championship game against Baylor. I think Baylor jumped out 8-0, 12-2. Thanks for playing. They were never in the game. So there's a handful of teams. That Villanova team, who got, I think, a 3 seed off the top of my head. Very, very dangerous. Teams playing well, obviously. Tennessee, Iowa. The Big Ten, I think, got 9 teams in. Okay. And there's always a conference that limps in that no one likes and wins a few games. And there was some stench lines. And I'll go through the stench lines right now. I was talking to my buddy on VSiN, and this was from last night. I called out the stench games. So grab a pen and I'll just quickly go through them. UNC -3 against Marquette. That was a head scratcher. Michigan -2.5 against Colorado State, head scratcher. San Fran -1.5 against Murray, head scratcher. San Diego State -2 against Creighton. Everyone remembers what Creighton did this weekend in the Big East. Providence -2 against San Diego State. South Dakota State. That will be a pick 'em. The whole world, everyone in their bracket has South Dakota State. Beware of the public trendy dog. Memphis -2 against Boise State. Which Memphis team shows up? Michigan State -1.5 against Davidson. Again, is it Izzo's Armies or is it Davidson slays Goliath? Loyola opens up -1.5 against Ohio State. Sister Jean versus the Big Ten, and Seton Hall -1 against TCU. So again, those were some of the numbers that really popped out and kind of was like a whoa. So you got to take your brackets, take the opening lines, let them simmer, let them sit there, just grab some brackets, have some fun with it. And then as this progresses, then you really start, okay, this team has an opportunity to go, I think if they win, then they can get to the Sweet 16. That's the hard part, but always go to the opening numbers. Trust and respect the opening numbers. That is the key here. So again, thanks to BERNIE Fratto at Fox Sports Radio, at BERNIE Fratto, for blessing us for 15/20 minutes today. Apologies for the we lost him. That's okay. We'll be having lunch with him next Monday. He's flying back to Detroit, so we're crossing. Wheels up for ECSI tomorrow at 6:30 as we are heading to Vegas for 16 days and nights. We can't wait. Mr. Dave Sharapan hopefully will be blessing me at McCarran Airport there. Myself and Scott will be back at 4:30 for the closing bell. So anyone with any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, reach out to Jeff Dawson on Twitter at EC Sports Invest. You can send us an email at eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com. Otherwise, I want everyone to have a blessed day. I want everyone to embrace the madness, the big dance. I want everyone to, it's a new week. It's a new start. It's a new beginning. That's what every day is. 24 hours to make a difference. That's what it's all about. Always, always, always invest and wager responsibly. If you have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number available. Ask for help. Why? I care. I want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest. From our friend BERNIE Fratto at Fox Sports Radio at BERNIE Fratto, we wish you a blessed day. Enjoy it. I hope everyone enjoyed the less 1 hour sleep as we get ready for spring. And we'll catch you at 4:30 today. See you soon.